Romancing the Spirit series. Paranormal Romantic Suspense Novella Collection. Books 7 through 12. Written by C.B. Samet. Narrated by Jennie, Neville. Carol's Christmas. Chapter 1.
She's going to die.
Tony Olson paced the small office in the back of the pawnshop.
Relax. Everybody dies, Tony.
Burke took a drag off the cigarette that perpetually hung from his bottom lip.
I mean, look at the pair of us. A couple of nobody ghosts who don't want to move on.
Tony ran a hand through his gray hair.
But I've seen her death, Burke. Christmas morning. Bam!
He smacked his hands together.
Hit by a delivery truck. A truck!
He'd watched the vision of Carol's death in slow motion. She walked toward the curb, distracted and not checking traffic. She stepped off into the road, and the truck that hit her didn't have time to slow down or even swerve.
There's a lot of tragedy in this world, Tony. She lived to be 42. That's a lot more than some people get.
Burke leaned back in his chair. The chair didn't move or squeak beneath his weight. There was no noise, even as he clumped his feet onto the office desk.
Besides, he continued, from what you told me about this woman, she don't got much of a life nowadays as it is.
Tony shoved his hands in his slacks, his Giorgio Armani suit pants. They were the very ones he'd been buried in when he died 5 years earlier. Since his death, he'd been lingering as a spirit on Earth, watching Carol Sullivan live the same life he had, making the same heartless, callous mistakes.
Well, I'm partly to blame.
Tony had never been kind to Carol. As a result of that, and other contributing factors from her past, she'd grown to become as cold and lonely as an iceberg, and drifting into an ever-melting, lifeless existence just the same.
She can't even hear or see me, Tony continued. How am I supposed to save her?
Some living people had a gift, the ability to see and hear ghosts. The so-called mediums, however, were few and far between, and Carol wasn't one of them.
She doesn't have any friends or family who can see ghosts. Without an intermediary, I can't reach out to her.
Tony had been reduced to helplessly watching Carol ruin her life. Burke pulled the cigarette out of his mouth and flicked non-existent ashes off the glowing orange tip. He stared at one of the walls of the pawnshop, where yellow...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?